What's up, world? It's Bernard Buie. Of course, you already know what time it is. Short-term rentals, VIP there now, luxury concierge business. You guys know I've been in this business for multiple years, pre-pandemic. When we first got started in this business, it was based out of lifestyle. It was definitely based out of the lifestyle that before I had it, I wanted to live. Before I seen it, I listened to it in music. Before I listened to it, I seen it on music videos, or I seen people growing up in the streets who were doing certain things to live the type of lifestyle that they wanted to live. And I always knew I wanted to live that type of lifestyle, right? But I knew it would take, extreme hard work and different techniques and strategies and different positions of my life and other people who I was around in order for me to get there. So of course, I stayed a course of that journey throughout the scars, the ups and downs, and the successes of it to be where I am right now, which is, a lot of the receipts and things that you guys see on social media or just being around me and, in real life. You guys see the cars, the boats, the jets, the equipment, the properties. You guys see these things around me all the time, right? So when I have the ability to pass the information on and pass it forward to you, for you or somebody else that you may know that want to live this type of lifestyle or get into this types of businesses or create this type of generational wealth for their families to come or your family to come, this is the perfect opportunity for me to talk to you guys. So we're going to jump right into it. The first thing I want to talk about is the rental cars. The rental car business, when we first got into it, it was through the Sprinters. So when me and my partner, we went and purchased one 13-passenger Sprinter, brand new, and one 15-passenger Sprinter, brand new, from Alabama. My partner put the deals together, found us a strategic credit partner, and I drove up, went and put the deposit down on the vans and drove them back to Atlanta from Alabama, which was a great time because I got to learn with the dealership how they operate and how the credit partner works and how strategic partners work, and moving forward outside of that of how the business should work right after that, right? So when it picked up the Sprinters, now it was time to essentially run a business. So who was my target market? Who was going to rent them? What did the contracts look like? What did insurance look like? What did paying the car notes, paying taxes, paying for advertising, or developing a relationship with strategic partners that I was going to work with for the years to come. So, and on top of that, an office, right? I had to have somewhere to store these vehicles to where they would be safe and secure. Nobody would break into them, and nobody would steal them, right? All of these things came into play of that business in particular. So we got the Sprinters. Our target market was private airports and airports as well, but particularly private airports, because we knew clients were coming in, high net worth clients who could afford, to travel luxury to and from their destination, and who wanted to follow up and wanted to have that concierge type approach to transportation of where they were going, or somebody else that was coming in town for them or on behalf of them, right? So that was my direct approach. I was targeting the private airports. So in Atlanta, I would go to the private airports, the Peachtree DeKalb Airport, or South Fulton County Airport, and I would go and I would build relationships with the main airline hangars that was there and basically solicit my business as, hey, if you got a client coming in the city, send them our way. We'll take care of them. We'll pick them up right here and take them to their destination. Or if you have someone that's getting ready to fly out, let us go pick up that person and bring them here, right? So, just making those types of connections was the first thing that we did. Secondly, after that, I would go to the hotels, the luxury hotels that are here, the Westin, the Intercontinental, the W's. We would just go to Waldorf Astoria. I would build with the concierge that are in the hotels, or build with the managers or the district managers and say, look, when you got an overflow of clients who are coming into your hotels and they need transportation to and from the airport or somewhere local, and your vans are not accessible at these times, or you got high-end clients who want to drive, who want to ride in a little more luxury, reach out to us. Give them my business card. Send them lunches, take them to dinners. Just build those types of relationships with them. So that took the Sprinters to a whole nother level. So I had private clientele from the private airports. Then I had private clientele from the hotels. Of course, as you guys see me a lot, a lot of times I'm on social media. So I deal with a lot of rappers. I deal with a lot of people who are in entertainment, whether it be sports or management, and they have large groups that they're trying to move in different places at different times. So I would build with those type of people as well. I would just always constantly send out direct messages and say, look, if you guys are coming in town and you need, a vehicle, you need a driver that can take you guys to and from your locations at any given time throughout the day or night, just reach out to me. I got you. So that was my clientele as well. And then if people were going on, large road trips, that may just be daily clients who are trying to go pick up their kids from college, or they're trying to go out at nighttime. That was my clientele as well. So I built different types of strategic clientele when it came to the Sprinters. So right after that, we're going through the motions of building the business out, and then COVID happened. Everybody know what happened. A lot of people stopped traveling. A lot of people stopped moving around. People were scared to be in the same car with different people if they didn't have on a mask, or they didn't know if they was contagious and things like that. So the Sprinters wasn't the best fit for COVID when it happened. So we kept the Sprinters for as long as we could in that time. And then once a lot of the other cities started shutting down, Georgia, specifically Atlanta, wasn't shut down. Atlanta was outside, right? Like, people was coming to Atlanta for pool parties, for any and everything. But particularly in our case, people were still coming here to shoot production. People were still coming here to throw parties or birthday parties or any type of events, because a lot of the cities just wasn't open. And a lot of the main cities that wasn't open, like LA or Miami, New York, Philly, different parts of Texas wasn't open. So, of course, Georgia was here. So we built another clientele when it came to that. So a couple of good friends I know that's from Philadelphia, they started Philly to Atlanta weekend, so where a lot of people would come from Philly, or come from other cities that was from Philly, and they would come to Atlanta to pretty much party and network. So we were in the forefront of that opportunity when it came to the luxury vehicles. So at the time, we only owned the Sprinters, but we had access to a lot of luxury vehicles because our Sprinters were parked at the private airport. That's where our office was, right? And we had access to different Rolls Royces and Porsches and Mercedes Benzes and Ferraris and Lamborghinis, like you name it, we had access to those types of vehicles. So when we knew people were coming here, a lot of people started reaching out and saying, yo, I got somebody that's coming to the city, they need a Lambo truck, right? I got somebody that's coming to the city, they need to be picked up from the airport and they need a Maserati. I was just putting all those plays together. Me and my partners, we were just putting those plays together for people. And another thing that we were doing strategically that a lot of people didn't know about, we were having people literally sit inside of the airport and give out flyers and say, you need a luxury vehicle, by the time you get off the plane, hit this person up right now, send them a deposit, this car will be at the airport by the time you land, right? So when we were doing that, we were getting an influx of people who was coming, who had cash or who had credit or who didn't have a credit card, so they wanted to, pay online. It was all different types of clients that was coming and wanted to pay for these types of vehicles at any given time, specifically coming from Philly. And then as Philly grew, that clientele grew, I'll be on social media, showing the cars, I'm posting the clients are posting it, coming in from other cities, and they want the same type of treatment that I'm giving everybody else from Philly. So if one weekend I was renting out 10 cars to people that was coming from Philly, The next weekend, I was renting out 33 cars from other people that was coming from other cities that wanted to party with us, right? So, the clientele grew. And honestly, like how I was building this clientele so fast, it was literally by word of mouth. It was by doing good business, delivering on time, and making sure that everybody was safe in these vehicles, because at the time, a lot of times it wasn't just about the vehicles. It was about where they were staying at. It was about where they were partying at, where to go shopping at, who to network with while they're here and stuff like that, depending on what they wanted to do. I had ball players that was coming to the city that wanted a nice vehicle, and they didn't want the type of vehicle everybody else had. They wanted the best because they were who they were, and they wanted to move around with people who were on that level. So we was connecting people and creating different networks. So, move a little forward within that. I ran out of cars. So what I did was I went on Turo and I started partnering with people who own vehicles on Turo and just reaching out to them and saying, look, I got somebody who want to rent your car. How much is it? And if I upcharge them, or can you give me a broker rate in order to rent this vehicle out to this person, right? And then I would still do the same contract, make sure they have a valid license, make sure they have insurance for the vehicle in order for them to rent it, make sure they had a tracker and a kill switch in the car, so therefore if the vehicle got stolen and got broken into, we knew where to go find it or pick it up at, and all of those scenarios happen. I'll get to that later on. But, that was the case. So I would go on Turo. Look, I got somebody who's trying to rent your car. No, they can't rent on Turo, but can you rent it privately to me and I'll rent it to them? So sometime that worked and sometime it didn't, to where I would be going out 3 or 4 times a week, meeting different girls and asking them, do they got a Turo account, and saying, look, I'm going to pay you to rent this car for me on Turo. I got somebody that's going to rent it. So if the car was $300 a day on Turo, I would give them $50 or $100, and I would charge the client $500 or $600. So the renter, the person who owned the car, they got the type of money that they wanted. The person who rented it for me got a piece of it, and then I was still able to make a profit off of that vehicle. So now that influx took my ability to rent out 30 cars a weekend to 60 cars a weekend, because now I was building more strategic partners in this area. So, I've been running that play for a long time. And then I got smarter in the business, right? I started meeting these people who really own these vehicles, but they didn't have the business behind the business, right? And that's one thing that I always talk about. The business behind all businesses is greater than the business itself. And what that means for me is, if you guys have the ability to take care of the back end of the business, no matter how much the business in the front thrives or fell, you'll be able to take on that. And what do I mean by that? I mean making sure that you have your articles, you have your business credit built out, you have business credit cards, you're eligible to go and get business loans, you're filing your taxes, so therefore you can get refunds, or you're now qualified to go borrow more money based off of the type of income that that you've been able to accumulate in those years of the business, right? Making sure that you have a POS system, so therefore if you need an advance on money, you have the ability to get it. So just taking care of the back end of the business has always been one of my biggest things when it comes to the business, right? So as I'm doing that, I'm realizing that a lot of people don't have their business together. So with the mind state that I've had then, and I still have now, and even more, I wanted to take the business to another level. So I wanted our own hub, so therefore we can store our own vehicles and store other people's vehicles and rent them out for them, and we keep the vehicles full time, because that was a problem for me when I was going through it, and I realized that a lot of people were renting these vehicles from their homes. I don't want clients coming to their homes at 6, 7, or 10 o'clock at night, disturbing them trying to return a vehicle or pick up a vehicle because their plane got delayed. No, I wanted them to come to us. So therefore, I made sure all of the owners who I did business with, their vehicles were stored at our warehouse. So me and my partners, we went and got a 6,000 square foot facility in Atlanta, Georgia, in an industrial area. We had all of the vehicles stored inside of there. So we had 3 offices inside of there. One was admin, one was content, and one was a break room. And then we had the living room to where, the clients can come in, sit down comfortably, wait for the paperwork to be signed off, verify the information, give them the keys, take them outside, do the walk around of the vehicle, get their deposit, and then, send them off in a positive way, because we wanted all of our vehicles to come back the way we wanted to. Once the vehicles came back, we did the post check-in, making sure that the rims was right, making sure that the gas was filled up the way it was supposed to be, make sure there wasn't no damages to the vehicle. We would give them their deposit back, get a good video of, their experience of renting with VIP, and then, send them on their way. So as time, accumulated, we picked up more vehicles and got more strategic partners, and we started shooting videos and different podcasts and just creating content around a lifestyle of having these types of assets with us all the time. Plus, we still had a lot of music artists who wanted to shoot music videos, or we had production companies who wanted to use the vehicles as props and things like that. So the clientele constantly expanded even more because of the location. And then people felt more secure, whether it be a renter, an owner, a broker, of doing business with us, because they had somewhere where they can find us all the time on a consistent basis. Most people want to do business with real businesses. Just because they see you on social media doing all these things, yeah, that could be fluff, it could be fraud, it could be fake, it could be not yours to, inside of the business. But when people came to that building, they seen that logo on the door, they seen the billboard, they seen the advertisement and things like that. It was more of the opportunity to go to the next level. So after we got the building, fast forward, 2 years, we started expanding to other cities. So we started coming up with strategic partners in other cities and opening up different locations. We had a location in Charlotte, North Carolina. One of my partners, he decided, he wanted to move there and expand because they needed a lot of rental cars. So we went, scouted the location, set up different cars in that area, set up strategic partners who already had vehicles, and we drove our vehicles back and forth from Atlanta to Charlotte when people wanted to rent the vehicles, right? And then as people started going to other cities, our clientele, they were going to other cities, and they would call and say, hey, AB, you got a car in Houston? I sure do. I would, go on social media or go on Google and find different rental car companies that are in that city specifically and say, look, I got some clients who are coming to your city. They're going to need a vehicle. Send me the list, send me the pricing for it. I'm gonna send them your way. Send me the the requirements of them renting, and I'm gonna make sure everything check out. And if it do, I'm gonna send them your way. And whether you can I can put my price on top of it, or you could just give me a referral fee for every time somebody comes back and rent with you guys. So I would go to Houston. Somebody would call me and say they wanted to go to Vegas. I would fly to Vegas, find a partner out there. Somebody would go to LA, find a partner in LA, right? Find a partner in Miami. I was going all around the world. Dubai, when I took a trip to Dubai, I had people who wanted to go after me when they seen I was going. Set up partnership in Dubai. When I went to Africa, set up partnerships in Africa. So I was just traveling to different strategic places around the world and setting up partnerships that we still have to the day, right? So continue to fast forward. I've accumulated, over 50 million in assets that I strategically manage for other people who decided to invest into the partnership, whether it be having a vehicle or just putting up money for us to go get vehicles, or people who had good credit and they wanted to turn their credit into cash or turn their credit into a residual income, right? I just built all these different people and strategic partners around the development of the business. After the partnerships, I realized that I wanted to take the business to another level. So I started developing our now published app, which is VIP There Now. So VIP There Now app is partnership between vehicles, boats, jets, equipment, properties, and personnel. So you can get all of these things on one platform instead of having to go from Airbnb to find a property and then go to Turo to get a vehicle. Now you can get all of these things on one platform. and that's specifically for the clients, right? But for me, how I started in this business, like I was telling you guys, I pretty much started off as a broker. Right after we got rid of the Sprinters, I didn't own any vehicles, so I was a broker. I would go to people and say, look, I know you own this vehicle. Are you interested in making money from this vehicle? If they would say yes, then I would show them how. I would say, look, I have people who want to rent your vehicle. It might be to drive, it might be for prom, it might be for chauffeuring, it might be for production, right? All of these things were opportunities for somebody to make money from their vehicle and not have to necessarily drive it in order to make money from it. Because a lot of people was getting these vehicles and they were doing Uber and Lyft, and right, they were just running miles up inside of these cars. So I set it to where, listen, I'm gonna teach you how to make money from your vehicle without having to 100% you do it. So built that clientele, and then I started just brokering and brokering and brokering and brokering. So when it came to the app, I needed somewhere for my own self so I can to have my own database, because I had vehicles in all these other states that I was telling you guys about. So I didn't have nowhere. Somebody called me right now and say, hey, I need a car in LA. Do you have something? So then I would have to call the LA team, get the updated list. If they don't answer, now I'm trying to find somebody else to rent them a car, so therefore I can make the money. Somebody in another city. So now my phone is ringing from 10 different cities every day, and that got tiring, right? So I needed somewhere to store my own, to have my own database and store my own vehicles and other short-term rental assets that I had, properties and equipment. I had tables, chairs, hookahs, tents, all these things I'll get to later on down. But specifically for the vehicles, I needed my own database. I needed to know when cars was down, if they needed to be maintenance, they were stolen, they were crashed, they weren't available because the owner wanted to use it. I needed to know how much I was paying these owners, so therefore at the end of the year, I knew how much I realistically was able to gross, or I was able to take away from all these deals, and figure out, what I wanted to do for the year, moving forward, or, tell other partners and bring them on based off of the type of vehicles that we had. Because a lot of people would ask me, hey B, what car do we need next year? What's the hottest summer vehicle that's getting ready to come out? What's the hottest vehicle that we need for the winter? What colors? Just following these different trends, because I'm in this business on a daily basis. They will always ask me. So I needed my own database to provide all of this proof of data for me and for my partners and clients. So, I developed the VIP There Now app. Currently, it's on iOS and the Google Play Store. You can download it now at VIP There Now. And we're still growing. The database is probably around 1,000 users, 1,100 users right now. But that has nothing to do with my phone. That has nothing to do with my strategic partners that we're growing with. So if you're interested, in partnering with us when it comes to the app, don't be afraid to reach out at VIP There Now or at Bernard Buie on all social medias across all platforms. So, moving forward, after the vehicles, I started getting into other things strategically when it came to the properties. Of course, Airbnb. So when Airbnb first came about, a lot of people, why am I going to let somebody stay in my house? Why am I going to rent out this room? Or then they started seeing different celebrities do it. And they started seeing different individuals, traveling the country or traveling the world, staying in these luxurious places that they would have never been able to stay into, outside of what the fraction of cost it would be to actually own it or rent something like that full time. So people started buying into the gimmick of Airbnb and Vrbo and all these other platforms that people host their homes on there and allow people to rent them. I wanted to really be in the business, and backstory about me when it comes to real estate. My father has been in real estate, pretty much my whole life. I seen him go from share sales to buying cash properties, to taking out loans to buy properties, decorating the houses, or doing new construction, or tearing something down and building it back up. I got to see all of those things growing up. So real estate has always been pretty much in my DNA, but I'm more of the finished salesman of the property, more so than the construction side of it. I got, nice hands and stuff like that. I like to get dressed. I don't like my sneakers to get too dirty when it comes to stuff like that. So I like to do the final walkthroughs and make sure everything is right on that sense. So for me, when it came to renting out apartments or luxury homes or mansions and stuff like that, it was right up my alley. So I would just reach out to different people who were on Airbnb, say, look, I got somebody who's trying to rent your home for X amount of days. How much is it going to cost me? Is it you going to give me a broker rate, or they're going to have to pay the rate that you want and I have to upcharge on it? How do I get my money and things like that? So strategically, because I already had the vehicles, to rent out the properties was a no-brainer for me. And then because I really know the back end of the business when it comes to getting approvals for properties. So therefore, you got to have good credit. You got to have a deposit. If you're not using your personal credit, you're going to use a corporate lease, which apartment complexes or homeowners allow you to rent this property using your business, which means that you got to have certain things under your business 100% ready in order to take on that opportunity, right? So I would just continue to build out my personal credit, build up my business credit, and then expand to different properties in Atlanta specific, because that's where I was. So I would do my own cleanings, I would run my own bookings. I was doing everything pretty much. If somebody wanted something, if I had an apartment in Buckhead and somebody wanted that one at 10 o'clock, but I knew I had to go clean this one by 12 o'clock, I was going to clean it, coming back, setting them in, so therefore they can rent it. So then if they needed a vehicle, I was giving them a vehicle with the property as well. So, I just continued to really just to build out the business and the opportunity when it came to that. Of course, I'm always posting on social media about, hey, you can rent this, or you can be in this business, you can learn it. I'll teach you how. If you want to be in it, you want to invest in it, you really don't want to know about the business, but you want to invest in something, and you can have residual income from it. You want to create generational wealth. You want to give the opportunity to somebody that you know who needs this type of opportunity. You want to put them on. I was that person. I am that person. So therefore, people constantly and consistently reach out to me to want to take on that opportunity. So, bang, got through the properties, started expanding to other cities, different countries, and coming up with different strategic partners that was inside of the business. So now I got the vehicles, and then now I got the properties. We got the cars, and now we got the properties. After the properties, I started expanding into equipment. Why did I get into equipment? Because equipment is a lot cheaper than the upstart of a rental car business and a property short-term rental business. Equipment that could be tables, chairs, hookahs, tents, cameras, smoke machines, couches, sectionals, glassware, silverware, napkin holders, dirt bikes, all of these small things that cost you one time, not a mortgage or not rent. It costs you one time to buy, and you can rent those things out consistently and make money with them over a long period of time. And the maintenance or the repair value is not as high as it is to either buy another one or repair it. So if I purchased 100 chairs at, let's say that each chair is $10, and I purchased 100 chairs, now I can rent out those chairs for $1, $2, even $10 at a time, depending on the type of chair it is, and make the money back from it instantly, to where now my profit margin is now X over a long period of time. Because if a chair only cost me $10, and I've had this chair for the last 5 years, and I rented out hypothetically 5 times each summer over the last 3 years, just do the math of how much I made on that product over that period of time. So I just started expanding and buying all these things, because a lot of my friends, we was having pool parties, right? So each year we would have at least 5 pool parties throughout the summer, all the way up until October in Atlanta. So every time I had to rent out tents for the sections, or I had to rent out tables. I had to rent out chairs, and I'm calling all these companies, renting all this stuff, and I'm just literally just pouring this money out. So of course, because now I had my 6,000 square foot warehouse, I now had somewhere to store all of these things. When you're getting into that type of business and you have an influx of equipment or other short-term rental pieces, you got to have somewhere to store this stuff. A quick way, the cheaper route outside of owning your own building is using a storage facility. But you know that has a monthly bill to it as well. So if you're not making that money, then now that becomes a burden for you. So therefore, you got to constantly make money. But for me, I already had the building, and I was renting cars out, and I was having other meetings. I was doing other things. So this equipment being stored here wasn't, really costing me anything significant at that time. So, back to buying all these things. So if somebody's birthdays happen every day. So if you're advertising, hey, I got chair rentals, I got tables for you specifically for your birthday. Buy 10 chairs, get 5 free. Buy 24, get 24 free, right? Just setting up all these different marketing strategies to take your clients and get them to buy in with you and rent other things with you. And then if they needed this, then they needed that. And if you didn't have that, then you go buy it, and then now you charge them for it, and now you already cut into the money that you spent out because they're reimbursing you for that money, and now you can take and rent it to somebody else. So my inventory base grew from those smaller things to therefore now we was renting out stages. We got a stage built inside of the warehouse. So now when people will come, they would need a stage. They were doing different events outside or inside of the warehouse. We had the ability to rent them those types of things as well. Vehicles was first, and then second was the properties, and third was equipment. So, the equipment, like I said, that was probably the one where I ran the most money up, and I still make money off of a lot of these things right now, or I use them and still make money from them when somebody wants them, right? So now I have the ability to use it and rent it out all at the same time. So after the equipment came the private jets. Whew. The private jets. So in order to rent out private jets, for one, you gotta have access to the private jets. You actually gotta be on a private jet. Well, you don't actually have to ever rent or be on a private jet or to rent one, but it's a lot better when you can tell somebody about that process from start to finish, right? So when I first got into the private jet rentals, my business partner, he had a membership to a private jet company to where you can rent out the whole jet, or you can just get on the seat, which is called an empty leg. And you had to have a membership, pay the membership annually, and you have the ability to fly pretty much when you want to. Of course, there are different fees that are associated with taking a whole private jet or paying for a seat. But nevertheless, he had the membership, and at the time when he was flying back and forth, doing promo for his different businesses and just living his dreams, I had the ability to watch him do these things first and seeing the process of what it would look like from afar. So then, of course, me just staying down, just grinding my way up to be a part of that type of business, unfortunately, he had to go sit down for a little bit. When he had to go sit down, I pretty much took over his business, ran everything, and then one of the luxuries of it was I was able to transfer his membership to my name, which meant that now gave me permission to fly private on my own. So the first place I flew was from Atlanta, Georgia to Boca Raton. And the opportunity came, I was in Philadelphia at the time, and I was just on the app. I was just scrolling the app, just looking at different times and stuff like that. And I finally saw an empty leg flying from Atlanta to Miami. And it was literally the next day, to where I had to drive nonstop pretty much straight to the airport in order to make it at this time if I left at that time at night. So that's what I did. I booked it. The flight, the empty leg seat was $200 or something like that. Gassed my car up straight from Philly, got on the road that night, and I drove straight to the private airport here in Atlanta, Georgia, parked my car, literally pretty much at the runway, went inside, showed them my receipt that I paid for the flight, met the pilots of it, got my little champagne, got my vodkas, and got my little snacks and stuff like that that comes with, the luxury of flying like that. And I was on there, legs up, feet up, just cooling it. And that changed my life. Like being in the air by yourself on a private plane with your cell phone still working was an amazing opportunity. It was an amazing opportunity. So I say all that to say, flying private or renting something to someone else and not actually experiencing it is a different type of thought process when you're talking to somebody. But when you can literally give them vivid moments of your life and you can show proof that you've done these things, it's a different type of sell. Because a lot of times it's really not even a sell. It's telling you what you can do and how you can do it and how I did it, and allowing you to make your own story from that opportunity. So of course I kept flying. I'm going from Miami to Texas, or Texas to New York, or New York to Philly, or Philly to Buffalo. Like I'm going to South Carolina. I'm just private jet, networking. But back to the business of how you get into this business. So you want to find you a owner of a hangar or a private jet, and 9 times out of 10, if they're an owner of a private jet, they have a hangar. But sometimes people store their private jets in other people's hangars. So, give or take that scenario. But you have the ability to network with them, and then there's plenty of private jet memberships. You have ExoJets, you have Vomos. There's plenty more outside of those two, but those, the first two I thought of right offhand, to where you can pay for a membership, you get a rep, and then they'll send you different flights based off of where you like to go. They'll send you either empty legs or private jet specials. Or if you just want to be in the business, right, you can sign up for a membership, because this is what I did. This is how I got like super smart, and my mentor told me what to do. So he said, listen, when you get this membership, you now have the ability to bring other people on this plane with you at this time. So if you know somebody that's trying to fly from Philadelphia to Miami, sell them to buy the plane, buy all the empty legs, or buy the plane. Let's say, for instance, the plane costs $7,000 and there's 7 seats. So if you sell them the seats for $1,500, you can sell it to them for $1,100 and make $100 off of each seat. But you can sell it for $1,500, $2,000 a seat, and now you just made money off of them flying to places that you're already going. Or if you got music artists that's trying to shoot content, or you got somebody on social media and they're trying to shoot this type of content on a private jet, charge them accordingly, and now you're paying for your membership off of renting the access to these private jets to these type of people. So pretty much, the last 6 years, at least 6 years, I've had a private jet membership. So therefore, the membership is paying for itself, and I actually make money from having this membership. So that came next. So like I said, first it was the rental cars, then it was the properties, then it was the equipment, then it was the private jets. After the private jets, so the boats. So like I said, when it came to the jets, that's an expensive lifestyle. The different type of clientele that you got to have that wants to fly private is not the average person. It's probably not close to the average person at all, right? So when it came to the boats is the same thing as the private jets. When I first got into the private boat clubs and stuff like that, of course I was in Miami, and I always seen these boats hanging at the harbors and stuff like that, and I always wanted to know who owned these boats. What type of lifestyle do they live? What type of work do they do? What is their income in order to own these boats all year round? Not just rent them, own them all year round, whether it be for their private use or it be for a business. What is their strategies? What do they have going on? So I started reaching out to all these different people. I would literally walk up to different boats and say, hey, what do you do? What type of lifestyle do you live? How did you get here? Can I learn from you? Can you mentor me? Can I help you rent out these boats? Like whatever I needed to do to get in, I was asking those types of questions, and I was taking notes, paying attention, and I was implementing the things that they were talking about in order for me to get where I want to get to. So fast forward, I started, of course, in order for me to get to where I wanted to get to, I had to rent out my own private boat. So I went to Miami for probably a birthday, and I rented out the boat. So I got to meet the captain, meet the crew, find out what they do, find out the do's and don'ts of bringing having different amount of people on boats, because just because it's a nice sized boat don't mean you can fill a boat up to capacity, right? There's different weight limits or person capacities that you can have on a boat. Some boats don't allow food or different types of beverages on the boats. Of course, some boats have bathrooms and some don't. The boats that do have bathrooms, there's different restrictions of what you can put in the tallest of the boats and what you can, right? So just learning all these small strategic things, of course, when it comes to renting out a boat for yourself. So now when you're explaining this process to a client, you're giving them all the things that you've experienced, because of course you want people to have the best time, and you want people to be safe, and of course you want everybody to either spend their money the way they want to or make money the way they want to based off of that relationship. So I just kept booking different boats, learning different types of lifestyle when it came to it, and then I eventually started renting out boats to different clienteles, whether it became for birthdays or people just came traveling or having fun. And then the business just expanded beyond the boats. It came to jet skis, then it came to the jet cars, and it came to the pontoon boats versus the luxury boats, then it came to the mega yachts, right? It's all different lifestyles and sizes of income when it comes to owning these types of boats. So you want to start from where you want to be to, and gradually go into the other places, because you can upsize and go up, or you can downsize and go down to different types of clientele, because somebody today may want a pontoon boat for $130 an hour versus $1,500 an hour, or somebody who renting something for $1,500 may want to go down to something $150 an hour based off of who they're doing it for, right? So you want to have the flexibility and the ability to rent out to somebody small and budget size for that time, and somebody big and money for that type of style. So we just kept going and building strategic partners inside of all of these businesses. Now when it comes to personnel, personnel is big, because you have the ability to be personable when it comes to making sure someone ultimately achieves something that they want to get done. So what do I mean by that? If you got somebody coming in and they're renting a car from you, if it's a guy, 9 times out of 10, if he don't get his hair cut in his own city, he's looking for a barber to get it cut before that night. So now, hey, AB, you got a barber for me? I'm getting ready to land at 10 o'clock. Who can I get a cut from? So now I started reaching out to different barbers that I knew, or different hairstylists, makeup artists, or chefs, and saying, look, I got a client who's coming in the city, or they may want you to go with them on the road. I have all these different people who call me and say they need somebody to cut their hair at midnight. So if I had a barber, I was soliciting their service as well. All right, well, typically they charge $50 a cut, but it's after 10 o'clock, so now the cut is $85. They don't know that the cut is still $50, and I just upcharge that $35 to make money on that haircut. Or somebody need their lashes done at nighttime, or they need a private chef, right? I was the middleman for all these people, and I started building out different services as well. So like I said, I started literally renting out people who have different professions and making money off of them as well, as far as being a middleman, because I already had a clientele that needed all of these things, from renting out a car to needing somewhere to stay, to flying in, or to have a boat for the day, or need equipment in order to facilitate whatever their outing is, or their event is, all the way to essential people that they need in order to make these things happen. It could have been security. You might be a person of interest and you want security, to be with you when you're going out at nighttime or throughout the day, or for somebody else that you know. So, overall, this is the short-term rental mastery. Like I said, I'll give you guys all the tools, tips, and tricks and knowledge that I have in teaching you guys how I was ultimately able to get to where I am within this business. So if you're interested in learning more strategicness about something specific when it came to one of those businesses, or you're interested in learning about all of those things of how you can actually own nothing and make money from all of those things on a consistent basis, tap in with me, because this is the perfect opportunity for you. I'm Bernard Buie, designer, humanitarian, owner, operator of VIP There Now, and VIP There Now coming soon with the technology part of the business. So stay tuned for more. Don't be afraid to follow us on social media, everything at Bernard Buie, everything at VIP There Now, or visit us on YouTube as well, Fanbase, Twitch. We're going after all those things this year. We're going for the digital space, because in real life, we really do these businesses on a consistent basis. And now this coming year, I'm giving you guys the opportunity to learn from the back end to the front end on how I started from where I were and I am to where I am now. So, Bernard Buie, signing out.